We had a session in December, right after I got back from Arizona. We were working on something for like 10 minutes, and then Michael had to go upstairs and do something. Then he comes back down and he's like, stop what you're doing. We're doing a new song. Let's start with the guitar.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Ike, our co-producer, ended up recording this. At the time, Michael was very inspired by the song Snap by Rosalind. So we kind of went for that vibe. I told Michael, I said, what about that song Time that you wrote like a month ago? What if you just take those lyrics and like redo the melodies and put it into like this new vibe?
Wait, that's it. Yeah. But I think it's fine. I'm in love with all the lyrics.
I'll just solo like the whole vocal stack and then kind of go one by one to show you like every single layer in the chorus.
Wake up, wouldn't wanna be anywhere else. Crazy how a little bit of long nights help a kid's dream come true. Ooh.
We got a lead vocal.
Wake up, wouldn't wanna be anywhere else. Crazy how a little bit of long night.
These two are kind of acting as the lead. And then we added 2 different takes, hard left, hard right, different plugins on it just to make it sound good.
Wake up, wouldn't wanna be anywhere else.
And then we have 2 other takes that are also hard left, hard right, with some buses on the other one. So that there's like echoes on like the left and right channels.
Wake up, wouldn't wanna be anywhere else. Crazy how a little bit of
This layer in the background, it's like kind of like a harmony, just, you know, way in the back.
wouldn't wanna be anywhere else.
So this knob kind of gives you that tonal shift, which is called format.
Wake up, I wouldn't wanna be anywhere else. Crazy how a little bit of long nights help a kid's dream come true.
So I just took it down like minus 1.7, just like barely anything, just to give it some more color. My favorite thing about this song though is the drums. So there's a lot going on here. I'll start with like the subtle things in the background. Way in the background, we have these little crackles. And then we got like a sidechain shaker, some low end cut out. So this one's cool. I really like to like really fuck up drum samples or drum loops, like cut out all the frequencies in low end and the high end, throw bit crushers on it, sample delay so it gives it some space in the mix, and sidechain it so it bounces. This sample started like this. We start with the EQ, cut the low end and the high end out, boost the mids. So it's way in the back. Then add a bit crusher to like make it ring out more. Sidechain to like lock it in the pocket. Record a note. Sample delay to like give it some image. Tremolo makes it bounce. And then just some reverb to give it a little bit of a tail. So that's way in the background just to like make everything sound more full. Then we have another shaker here. Echo and sidechain on it. And then a lot of different kicks. 2 kicks with like literally nothing on it, just straight from Splice. They're just kind of dusty. I got the bad type clap. Tambourine. Another tambourine. Another tambourine. So 3 tambourines. 4 tambourines. and then some really big emphasis kicks. On the downbeats, I like to add these big like stomps, or like these big kicks with some like air to them, just to give it more emphasis. And then we got another like splice loop that I just messed up. This is probably the coolest sound that I made in there that you'll probably be able to pick out. So in the mix, basically what I did is I opened up an EQ, again, cut the low end, cut the high end, boost the mids, sample delay, alter boy with just a little bit of form it down, and then add some crunch to it. So turn the drive knob up, and then the echo really makes the sound. It gives it that bounce, and then some reverb. Real quick, I'll kind of show you like how I organize my projects. Everything is collapsed into what's called summing tracks. The Vox, which is all the vocals, are in one track. The guitars are in one, the bass is in one, drums are all grouped together, and then the sound effects, which are kind of like the little miscellaneous sounds in the background that people may or may not notice, but totally make the song better. So this is just really important for like just staying organized, not getting burnt out, because this song has 119 layers. And if I didn't do this, and if I didn't color code, it would just be a mess to navigate and inefficient. Once I get to like about like 30 tracks, I just end up color coding and grouping everything just to save time as the project gets bigger. So I'll kind of move down to the effects tab down here. All of the like little cymbals, little airy things in the mix that most people don't notice. So for example, this sunray bell tree effect right before the chorus, some reverse crashes. Originally, I just called this song Campfire because we never know what to call our songs when we start them. Kind of, you know, feeling that vibe of like just the outdoors, or, you know, driving or summer, just put crickets in the background. It just seems like kind of a vibe. And then to add to that noise, I added some radio static and put a sample delay on that. And I don't know, like there's no rhyme or reason to like why I add those sounds. It just adds to the vibe, and I think it's cool. This sound I actually recorded like 3 years ago for Flying Car. I use it in like all of our songs now. For this, I just put reverb on it, and it sounds like this. Behind that, I have a crash, a ride cymbal, this really cool splice vocal chop that I found, which I also processed more. Before it was like this. EQ is a pretty standard theme. If it's not bass, put an EQ on there and cut like the low shit out. It just cleans your mixes up. So I start with that. Again, sample delay. I use this all the time. When I'm making these tracks and doing these really small edits in there, like the little sound effects, or even for drums or just whatever, I like to alternate sample delays. So for this sound, it's super airy. It's in the background. I put a 4 millisecond sample delay on the right. And then the next time I do like a little sound effect like that, I put one 3 millisecond delay on the left. As I'm going through, I like to just mix as I go. I don't really like have a stage where I'm like, okay, the song's built out, time to mix. Like I just like it sounding good right away. So the sample delay thing is kind of just, you know, there's no rule to it, but alternating as you go really gets the image nice and full. In my opinion. Again, there's no right way to do it, but that's what I like to do. We kind of do this a lot for our bridges, but we just love to like take the song like down toward like the end of it, and then at the very end just make it like the biggest possible thing at the end. So a good way to do that is switching up your vocal production, and this is what's called like a telephone EQ. You cut out the low and the high end, and you boost the mids to make it sound like you're on like a phone call.
When I wake up, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Crazy how a little bit long nights help a kid's dream come true.
For most of the song, Ike recorded these guitars that are gone. hard left, hard right, cut out the lows, get rid of the resonance. Oh yeah, and Ike recorded this one too, which is in all the choruses. But then the new ones, I called it the happy-go-lucky guitar. I don't know why I called it that. It's just funny. And it sounds like this. I recorded it once and then duplicated it and put an amp on the second one to give it like a little bit of like an electric guitar feel. So then all the guitars at once. And then the drums at the end, we have, just for more emphasis, like I mentioned earlier, we like to go as big as we can a lot of times toward the end of the song. So I added these war drums to kind of complement the ending and just threw a ton of distortion on them. For vocal production, pretty much the same layers, but it hits a lot harder because Michael's doing these like little riffs in the background, and I pull out certain parts and emphasize certain parts just to make it hit harder. Sometimes it can be challenging, have everything going at once, and you want these riffs to like hit, but you don't want them to be the main focus, or like you don't want them to be piercing either. So to fix that, I cut the low end out and then a lot of high end out. So I just want them underwater almost, like in the background. Just a ton of drive. Like I want it to be crunchy in the background. And that also kind of compensates for the high end that you cut out. When you cut that much high end out and you don't have any distortion, it can be really hard for it to cut through. So I like to add like a ton of distortion and then turn the volume down just to compensate. And then a ton of reverb. So if we didn't have the reverb, it would be really harsh. Adding this reverb tail on it kind of helps just sit under the mix. The part where he says cold dark greenhouse, I thought was really cool, and I didn't want it on the same chain because I wanted it to poke out more. So I put it on a new track, new EQ. I rolled back the low end, boosted the high end, kept a little bit of drive on it, and then some reverb. So then all together.
When I wake up, wouldn't wanna be anywhere else. Crazy how a little bit of long nights help a kid's dream come true. Ooh, and we're all living in a cold dark greenhouse, losing our self-control. A lot of people want this life. I'm cursed.
And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. That's Orange Afternoon in like a nutshell. Orange Afternoon actually started, Michael wrote this song called Time, a lot slower and more ominous, and it sounded like this.
But I think it's fine. I'm in love with all the lakes that we pass by. Time is right by my side. It helps with the mistakes that cross my mind.